I unknowingly said, "I love you" to my neighbor at 6:12 in the morning, and she blushed and whispered, "What?" "Say it again." But the truth is, I wasn't even talking to her. I'm Caleb Morrison, 31 years old, a former basketball coach who lost everything. My job, my name, my faith. To a lie I never told. I moved into apartment 4B to disappear, to become a stranger nobody loved and nobody missed. And the woman in 4A, Reese Calloway, a pediatric nurse who saves children all night and comes home to an empty apartment every morning, was never supposed to hear those three words slip out of my mouth. But she did. And now she's standing in that amber-lit hallway, keys frozen in midair, lavender scrubs still smelling of the hospital, waiting for me to say it again. To a neighbor I barely know, a neighbor I never planned to love. So why did my heart say it before my mind could stop it? And what happens when the lie that destroyed my old life follows me right to her door? Because some accidents aren't accidents at all, and some "I love yous" save the very person who whispers them. It started because I couldn't sleep. For 3 months, I hadn't slept right. Not since the morning I packed my whole life into the back of a rusted truck and drove 400 miles, away from the only town that ever knew my name. In that town, Coach Morrison used to mean something good. Kids ran to me. Parents shook my hand. Then one angry father told one ugly lie. And in 2 weeks, my name became something people whispered instead of called. So I ran. And running brought me here, to apartment 4B, where the walls were thin and the mornings were gray, and nobody knew a single thing about me. That morning at 6 my phone buzzed. It was my little sister Jade. She was the only person on earth who still believed me. "You sound terrible," she said. "I'm fine." "You're lying. You always go quiet when you're lying." She paused. "Caleb, have you talked to anyone? Made even one friend?" I looked at the wall. The wall I shared with 4A. The wall I'd been listening to for weeks without meaning to. "There's someone," I said quietly. "My neighbor. She's a nurse. I hear her come home every morning. She hums when she's tired. Sometimes she talks to her plants." I almost smiled. "She left soup outside my door once. I never even told her my name." "And?" Jade pushed. And I don't know why I said it. Maybe because it was early. Maybe because I was tired of holding it in. Maybe because, for the first time in months, something in my chest felt warm instead of broken. "I think I love her, Jade," I whispered. "I just don't know how to say it." That's when I heard the keys hit the floor. I turned. My door, I'd left it cracked open for the morning air. And there she was, Reese. Standing in the hallway in her lavender scrubs, hair falling out of its tie, eyes wide, frozen mid-step like the whole world had stopped breathing. She'd heard every word. My heart slammed against my ribs. I opened my mouth to explain, to take it back, to disappear, but no words came. And then she did something I never expected. She didn't run. She didn't laugh. She didn't look at me like I was strange or sad or broken. She blushed. A real, soft, helpless blush that crept up her neck to her cheeks. And in a voice so small it barely existed, she whispered, "What?" "Say it again." The phone was still in my hand. Jade was still talking. The hallway light buzzed amber above us, and I stood there, a man who believed with all his heart that he didn't deserve one single good thing in this life. Looking at the one good thing standing 6 feet away, waiting, my throat went dry. I wasn't. I was on the phone," I stammered. "I didn't mean for you to." Something flickered in her eyes. Hurt, maybe, or fear. She bent down fast, grabbed her keys off the floor, and her walls came up so quick I could almost hear them. "Right," she said, suddenly brisk, suddenly far away. "Of course. Sorry. I don't shift. I'm not thinking straight." She fumbled with her own door. "Forget I said anything." Reese. Her name left my mouth before I knew it. She froze, her back to me, key in the lock. "I never told you my name," she said softly. My heart stopped, because she was right. I knew her name. I'd known it for weeks. From a package label I shouldn't have read, from a voice through a thin wall, from 100 tiny mornings I'd spent learning a stranger I was too afraid to meet. She turned, just halfway, just enough for me to see one wet eye catch the light. "How long," she whispered, "have you been listening to me?" And in that single question, I heard everything she was really asking. Was it real? Am I worth being noticed? Or are you just another man who'll leave the second I let myself hope? I didn't have an answer ready. And the silence, that terrible, stretching silence, said all the wrong things. She nodded slowly, like I just confirmed her worst fear. Then she stepped inside 4A and shut the door with a soft final click. I stood alone in that amber hallway, my sister's tiny voice still calling my name through the phone. 3 impossible words still hanging in the air between 2 closed doors. I had finally said, "I love you" out loud for the first time in years, and I might have already lost her. I didn't see Reese for 4 days. I knew her schedule by heart, which felt shameful now that she knew it too. Night shifts. Home by 6. Gone by 6 in the evening. But for 4 days, she came and went through that hallway like a ghost who'd learned to be silent. No humming. No talking to her plants through the wall. Just the soft open and close of a door, careful, like she was trying not to exist near me. I told myself it was better this way. A man like me didn't get the nurse in 4A. A man with a ruined name and a phone full of headlines didn't get soup left at his door or blushing. Whispers in the morning light. But on the 5th night, it rained. Not a gentle rain, the kind that hammers the windows and makes the whole building groan. And around 2 in the morning, over the storm, I heard something through the wall I'd never heard before. Reese was crying. Not loud, not dramatic. Just the quiet, broken kind of crying that people do when they think nobody can hear them. The kind I'd done myself 100 nights in that very apartment. I sat up in bed. I told myself to stay out of it. It wasn't my business. She'd made that clear. But then I remembered the soup. A stranger she didn't know, leaving warmth at my door for no reason at all. And I thought, maybe that's what good people do. Maybe that's who I used to be, before the lie made me forget. So I got up. I made tea, the only thing I knew how to make right. I carried it down that amber hallway in the dark, and I set it gently outside 4A. I almost left without knocking. Almost. Instead, I tapped twice, soft. "It's Caleb," I said through the door. "I'm not staying. I heard you. I made you something warm. It's right here." That's all. I turned to go. The door opened. She stood there in an oversized hospital sweatshirt, eyes red, face bare, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. For a long moment, she just stared at the steaming cup at her feet, then at me. "We lost a patient tonight," she said, and her voice cracked right down the middle. "A little boy, 6 years old. I held his hand the whole time, and it wasn't enough. I didn't say anything stupid. I didn't say it'll be okay or you did your best. I just stood there in the dark and let her hurt be real. You held his hand," I finally said. "So he wasn't alone. That's not nothing, Reese. That's everything." Her chin trembled. She bent down, picked up the tea, wrapped both hands around it like it was the only warm thing left in the world. "Why did you really say it?" she whispered. "4 days ago, the thing you said." And this time, I didn't run from the truth. "Because it's true," I said quietly. "I don't know how it happened. I don't even deserve to feel it. But I hear you come home every morning so tired you can barely walk. And you still hum. You still talk to your plants. You still leave soup for a stranger who never even said thank you." My voice broke. "You keep being good in a world that gave you no reason to be. And I forgot people like you existed. You reminded me." She was crying again. But it was different now, softer. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Of me? Of this?" She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. "The last man who said he loved me left 3 weeks before our wedding. Told me I was too much, too emotional, too everything." She laughed, but it was the saddest sound I'd ever heard. "So I learned to stop hoping. It's safer when you stop hoping." I knew that prison. I'd lived in it for months. "I'm not him," I said. "I know," she whispered. "That's what scares me most." We stood in that doorway until the rain softened to a whisper, and slowly, so slowly, the walls between us began to come down. Not all at once, just one brick at a time. The days that followed were small and quiet and beautiful. She knocked on my door now, on purpose, I learned. She prayed before every shift, a soft murmur I could hear through the wall, and that there was a worn old Bible on her counter, with the cover nearly falling off. She learned I used to coach kids, that I'd been good at it, that I missed it like a missing limb. "You should coach again," she told me one evening. sitting on my floor eating noodles from a carton. I can't, I said. Not after what happened. What did happen? And I almost told her. The words sat right there on my tongue. The lie, the angry father, the accusation that I'd played favorites, that I wasn't to be trusted around kids, the whole ugly story. But I looked at her face, open, hopeful, finally trusting me, and I was a coward. Just a bad ending, I said. Some doors are close and stay closed. She studied me for a long moment, like she knew there was more. But she let it go. She squeezed my hand and said, maybe some doors are just waiting for the right reason to open. I should have told her everything that night, because 3 days later, my phone lit up with a message from Jade. Just one line, and it turned my blood to ice. Caleb, the post is back, and it's spreading. Somebody found you. Below it, a link. I clicked it with shaking hands. There it was. My face, my name, the old lie dressed up as truth, shared and reshared thousands of times. And this time it hadn't stayed 400 miles away. This time, it had reached my new city. This time, someone had tagged the local hospital where Reese worked. I sat frozen on my floor, the noodle carton still there from the night before, and I understood with terrible certainty what was about to happen. She was going to find out. Not from me, not gently, but from a screen full of strangers calling me a monster. And there was a knock at my door. Reese's knock. I knew it now. 3 soft taps. Caleb? Her voice came through the wood, but it was wrong, tight, shaking. Caleb, open the door, please. I need you to tell me this isn't true. I looked at the phone in my hand. I looked at the door. And every old voice in my head whispered the same thing it always had. You don't deserve good things. You never did. Run. I opened the door, because running was the old Caleb, and I was so tired of being him. Reese stood there, phone in her trembling hand, the headline glowing up at both of us. Her eyes searched my face, not with hate, but with something far worse. Fear that the one good thing she'd let herself believe in was about to break her again. Tell me it's not true, she whispered. So I told her the truth. All of it. Right there in the doorway, with the amber light buzzing above us, the same light from the morning that started everything. A father wanted his son to start every game, I said, my voice shaking. The boy wasn't ready. I sat him for his own safety. The father got angry, so he told the school I played favorites, that I couldn't be trusted around kids. I swallowed hard. There was an investigation. They cleared me, Reese. Completely. I never did anything wrong. But by the time the truth came out, nobody was listening anymore. The lie was already louder than I was. Tears ran down her face. Why didn't you tell me? Because I believed it, I whispered. Not the lie, the other thing, that a man with my name didn't deserve someone like you. That, if I let you close, you'd find out and you'd leave. Just like everyone else. My voice cracked completely. I was protecting you from me. But really, I was just too scared to be loved. For a long, terrible moment, she said nothing. Then she stepped back into her apartment and closed the door. And I thought, that's it. That's the ending I always knew I'd get. I didn't sleep that night or the next. The wall between us stayed silent. No humming, no prayers, nothing. I had told the truth, and the truth had cost me the only person who'd made me feel human again. On the 3rd night, I couldn't stay in that apartment. I walked through the cold until I found myself standing in front of a small neighborhood church. Lights on, doors open. A sign read, Community Grief Service. All are welcome. I hadn't prayed in months. Not since I decided God had abandoned me along with everyone else. I didn't go in to pray. I just went in to sit, to not be alone with myself. I slid into the back pew. A woman at the front spoke softly about loss, about grace, about how the worst things people believe about us are never the things God believes. And something inside my chest, something I'd kept locked tight for a year, finally cracked open. I wept. Quietly, in the back of a church full of strangers. And for the first time, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt found. When the service ended, I wiped my face and stood to leave. And there she was, Reese, sitting 3 rows back in her lavender scrubs, eyes red, watching me. She'd been there the whole time. I prayed about you, she said softly, walking toward me. For 3 days. I asked God to show me the truth. She gave a small, wet laugh. And then I called your old school. I talked to the principal myself. Her voice broke. She told me you were the best coach they ever had. That what happened to you was worst injustice she'd ever seen. That those kids still ask about you. I couldn't breathe. You're not the lie, Caleb, Reese whispered, taking my face in her hands. You never were. And I'm done letting fear, yours or mine, steal something this good. I'm scared too, I admitted. I'm scared I'll never deserve you. Then let's be scared together, she said. But let's stop running. 3 weeks later, the school in my new city offered me a coaching job. They'd seen the full story, the real one, after the principal from my old town spoke up publicly to defend me. The lie that destroyed my life had, somehow, become the very thing that gave it back. Reese held my hand the day I walked into that gym again. The kids ran to me. And for the first time in over a year, I remembered who I was. I wasn't a man nobody loved. I was a man worth fighting for. And then came the morning I'd been planning in secret. 6:12 a.m., the same amber hallway. I was waiting when she came home from her night shift. Exhausted, lavender scrubs and all, keys in her hand. She stopped when she saw me. Caleb, what are you? You once asked me to say it again, I said. My heart steady now, no longer shaking. I dropped to one knee, right there on the worn hallway carpet, and held up a small ring. So here I am. Same hallway, same morning. Except this time, I know exactly who I'm saying it to. Her hands flew to her mouth. I love you, Reese Calloway, I said. And I plan to say it every single day for the rest of my life, on purpose. She didn't pull away. Not this time. She laughed and cried at once, pressed her forehead against my chest, and whispered the only word I'd ever need to hear. Yes. Two broken people, standing in the same hallway where it all began. One accidental I love you that turned out to be the truest thing either of us had ever said. Because some accidents aren't accidents at all. And sometimes the words we're most afraid to speak are the very words that save us. So let me ask you this, before you go. How many times in your own life have you stopped yourself from loving someone, or even from believing you're worthy of being loved, simply because you were afraid of how the story might end? If this touched your heart, stay a moment longer and tell me in the comments. Who is the one person you've been too afraid to say, I love you to? You never know. Like Caleb, your accidental truth might be the very thing that sets you free.